Hey friends, I'm Victoria here with Fortuna Cucina. Today we're talking about allergies. Now, I haven't done a video in a minute, and there's a reason for that. It's because I've been feeling under the weather. A lot of it's allergy related, and I wanted to share with you some of the things that I'm doing that are on the more natural side that are helping me with my allergies, and they might benefit you too. So let's jump into it. So first things first, I live in Central Texas, and it is like the allergy capital of the country. And so if you look at the pollen count, it's way off the charts compared to other places in the country. So when I lived in California or when I lived in the Pacific Northwest, I had other allergy issues, not the same that I do now. Here, from about December to February, we have cedar season, which just means that the cedar trees are blooming and that sort of thing. Now we're into, I can't remember what season, if it's oak or whatever. My point is that I'm gonna be dealing with these type of allergies for a while. It is my third year here in Texas, and last year was okay, but after what I experienced this year, I really felt like I need to get a handle on the allergies. So let me just give you a quick recap of what happened. So early March, I started experiencing ringing in my ears. Now that could be anything. If you go ahead and look that up. And people are like, it could be menopause, like it could be a gazillion other things. It could be like some type of mineral deficiency, something. Well, I am a busy person, and so I just did not have the time to investigate, like, what is the ringing in my ears? Like, what kind of a doctor do I go see? Do I go see an ENT? I have been having a heck of a time trying to find a primary healthcare physician here in our city, because a lot of them, they want to do concierge and they're very pricey and things like that. So it has been a struggle to find just a regular doctor that will want to take insurance. So I end up, the ringing in my ears, as it turns out, was fluid buildup in my ears, and I ended up with an ear infection. Now, the next week I was going to be traveling, and we did my son's 8th grade Washington, D.C. trip, and then went down to Florida for a couple days, and just hung out in the sunshine there, and they were planning on doing a road trip back to Texas. So, and you're going to have to excuse me, this is not how I normally sound. I sound really like nasally and everything right now. So what ended up happening was I had an ear infection, went to an urgent care. They gave me an antibiotic. The week later, I said, I still feel like I have fluid in my ear. And the guy told me, oh, you should be fine. And my instinct knew, no, I probably won't be. We were in DC, we were walking around, especially at night. My grandmother used to always say that if your ears get cold, that they can get an infection. I don't know if that was true for everybody or just for her, but she had a thing with making sure her ears were warm. And she used to wear like, not a beanie, but you know, a little woolen hat and things like that. So I was thinking about that when we were on our trip. By the time we get to Florida, I am sick. And it had spread. I had a whole sinus infection. And I know that that's where a cold ends up going for me. Like if I do not nip it in the bud. And so for some people, like some women, they get a UTI. Some people get a this or that or whatever. So my advice to you right off the bat is whatever you end up getting, whether it's like I said, a sinus infection or whatever the situation, I want to encourage you to get an emergency medical kit. Now, I do not have an affiliate link for you. I'm not sponsored by any of these companies, but companies like the Wellness Company and Jace Case are helpful in that you can get an emergency medical kit through them. That for emergency use, you can have antibiotics, all sorts of medication. Well, it turns out I was getting so sick when we were in Florida. I asked my husband, do you think that I should go to the emergency room? And he said, don't we have that emergency medical kit that I have in my backpack? And I started taking the Z-Pack because I figured, like, by the time I sit in the ER, and they're probably going to tell me the same thing and whatnot. So I started feeling better. But when we finally got home, that's when I started feeling really better. So let's talk about like allergies and what's going on with them first, and then how you can alleviate them. So allergies, and I'm not a doctor, but like bottom line, if you're allergic to something, you have a histamine reaction in your body. And so for me, I have tons of seasonal allergies, and most of the time I don't take anything for it because I don't wanna, okay? I don't even like taking antihistamine. But here's what I found is that right now, while I'm battling this, I really should. Like, what I found is most things don't dry me out entirely. They just give me like a dry mouth, and so you're all day, right? So, but the thing that I found that works the best for me is Zyrtec. That would be the first thing. See if you could find it over-the-counter antihistamine. And the doctor that I talked with, the urgent care doctor, recommended the one that was so helpful. He recommended Flonase, but I was like, doesn't that have a steroid in it? Oh yeah, but you just take a little bit every day. That is not ever gonna be my jam, is to take a steroid. So, really looking at what are other options that are maybe things that you wouldn't think of that would help. So the first thing I'm going to recommend to you, if you have seasonal allergies, you need a Neti Pot. Now, I heard from another doctor that I was with years ago, is that the Neti Pot helps because it's literally clearing out your sinus passages. If you've never used one of these before, you take distilled water, not regular tap water, distilled water. There's a good reason for that. And I only fill mine up halfway, because after halfway, I'm just done with the thing, okay? So I fill it up about halfway with distilled water. There's a little salt pack that comes with it. You put a little bit of salt in there. You warm this up in your microwave. And then what you end up doing is over a sink, like in your bathroom, you will take this, shove this up your nose, and tip it, okay? So what ends up happening is the water will end up coming out the other side. And the idea is that you're clearing out your sinus passages from mucus and pollen and gross stuff that ends up in there. This is really gross. My family always says it sounds like I'm drowning. Sometimes you end up coughing up stuff when this happens. Again, sorry, this is gross, but this is just what you deal with when you have allergies. So my first thing is to recommend a Neti Pot to you. So if you never used it, I mean, Google a video of someone using a Neti Pot, okay? This is not really difficult and it's not expensive. What I found was when we got back from our trip, I started using the Neti Pot at least 3 times a day. It really helped, really helped. Something else that helps, and this is the dumbest thing I purchased to help me with allergies, is this thing. It's called a Sinus Steamer. And the idea is you turn it on and it produces steam, and you put your face, you put it over your face like this, and you inhale, and the steam helps. But here's why I also found is I do this, and it helps my ears, okay? And I can literally feel my ears draining. Like once I'm done with a couple minutes of the steamer, like I'll feel a lot of postnasal drip. Something else that is helpful is I started doing a lymphatic massage to help with the drainage of all of this stuff. So I could post the video that I found on Facebook. This lady starts with here, with your lymph nodes here. And I actually always thought they were here, but she said they're here. But I'm like, okay, whatever. And then after that, so you give that a good massage, and then you kind of do this sort of thing to get the whole system warmed up. You get the lymph nodes under your chin all warm and happy. And then of course you do this for longer than I'm doing now. And then this is the kicker. There are lymph nodes around your ears. And so I have one finger behind, one finger in front, massaging like this. And here's the thing, is if I'm really blocked up, after I do that, I will feel a ton of drainage again. Like we want everything to get out, right? So that's another thing to keep in mind, and I'll post the video as well. Of course, she's talking about facial puffiness and more of a cosmetics reason to do this. But for me, I was like, I just need everything to be clear. And as you could tell by my voice, I'm not cleared. Like, this is the best I've been in probably a month. In addition to that, I started making an allergy tea. I did this because I was like, there has to be a solution for me. And I remembered that stinging nettles actually really helps with seasonal allergies. So that's what my allergy tea is. It's stinging nettle and elderflower. And if you have an allergy to nettle, or if you're sensitive to nettle, I don't recommend you drinking this tea. What you could do instead is stick with local seasonal honey that's going to have that pollen in there. A lot of hot water. Again, we want to help flush down any mucus and stuff we have in your head. The more you can drink hot liquids, the more liquids you can drink, that's going to help flush that out. And it's been my experience, if I'm drinking hot water all day, way better than if I'm drinking ice water or no water. Okay, so all of the mucus and everything needs to come out. That hot water will help. Of course, drink tea. And so with the allergy tea, the one thing I want to point out is herbs are not like a prescription. Herbs are, herbal medicine works in a different way. So I find that it takes like 30 minutes or so for me to feel the effects of herbs. It may be different for somebody else, but that's just me. And what I found is that the times that I'm like, oh yeah, I feel so much less clogged. For me, it lasts about 4 hours, and that's it. Other people I've talked to, they have about the same experience. So the thing with herbal medicine that's really interesting is, like, yes, there's so many benefits. It works differently than taking a pill. So going into the situation, if you want to take an allergy tea, and again, the allergy tea is available, make sure that the herb is appropriate for you, one. And two is, I would know how many times you need to take it. I'm drinking about 3 to 4 cups of this throughout the day. And that sounds like a lot of tea, but let me tell you, yeah. A lot of medications don't work for me. I'm just one of those weirdo people. And when I did get a prescription from the doctor, he gave me a steroid, and he said, this is going to help clear up your ears, that everything will drain once you take the steroid. And a week later, I'm like, nothing has drained. I don't know what you're talking about. And that's just how my body is. And so I feel like it's important to know how your body's going to react to certain things. So again, if you have an aversion to stinging nettle, I would stay away from that. I would go local honey, lots of hot water. I would use your Neti Pot, and you can get a sinus rinse thing. I think that's really close. I don't know that's exactly the same thing, but I would just try around with some of these different products, because especially I had a conversation just today with one lady who said, I don't want to take anything every day. And I feel you, because it feels like with some of these things, like a Flonase, like you get into it and you have to take it every day in order for you to feel the benefit of it. I don't want to take anything every day, okay? If I am the type of person where I don't want to take medication every day. That's just me. So those are some things that I would recommend to you is the Sinus Steamer, the Neti Pot. Try to find an antihistamine that works for you. Something like a nettle tea would be amazing. And also, I think awareness of how you're doing. I'm actually feeling better than I have in probably a couple weeks. So I would just be aware of that too, do you want to go the antibiotic antihistamine route, or if you're looking for more natural things. And I'm not going to judge you either way, because right now it's allergy season, and obviously I've taken all of the things. But when you want to feel better, you will take all of the things. So those are some suggestions to you. I wanted to get this video out as soon as possible because I have had so many people asking me questions about allergies, allergy tea, what else have I been doing, that I'm going to be editing this as minimally as possible. So if it looks like it's a quick and dirty video, you know it is. All right, friends, this is a little bit of a different video because I wanted to get this information out to you. I've had a lot of people reach out to me about what to do about seasonal allergies, what the options are, what the more natural options are. These are some things that have worked for me. This is not the be all and end all list. So if you have something else that you do that helps you, I want you to comment below and share that with everybody so that we know, because let me tell you, this allergy season's been a little rough, and what you don't want is all of this stuff here happening with your allergies to turn into something like a sinus infection or an ear infection, and then you're in the doctor's office a lot this season, and that's not what I want for me or you. So like I said, if you found a solution that really works, please share it. All right, friends, I hope you're having a great day. I'll see you in my next video.